Welcome back to another edition of the American Scouser podcast. It's Gordon, and with me tonight I've got Timucin and Cozzy. How you guys doing tonight?
Oh, great.
Great, man. All good.
Excellent, excellent. Well, as you know, the transfer market opened domestically on May 16th, so just about 5 days ago, and it's already extremely crazy in the media. Obviously, the Champions League final isn't big enough for people to talk about, so they've got to mix in with all this crap going on elsewhere. Some big ones, the shockers, some of the headlines that are obviously false, but everyone's going to make their money. So we'll start off real quick. What do you guys? What's been the most shocking, or the one that's made you guys laugh the most so far that you've seen?
Makes me laugh. I've seen that Mane going to Real Madrid one pop back up. But that was quite funny again. I just don't know where they get, all this kind of information from. I just think they just put, a group of football players in a pot and a group of football clubs, and you just pull them out and just go, this week it's Sadio Mane and this week it's Real Madrid. It could have been Aston Villa, but they still would have wrote it. You know what I mean? I don't know, man, but that one makes me laugh continuously.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like you're saying, they're trying to fill airtime, click time, and you put something in there like money is like Real Madrid or something like that, and we're probably suckers for it. You click on it, you're like, what are they talking about? Well, you already clicked and made them the money, so it doesn't matter what they're talking about at that point. They're probably talking about like nothing. They dig up and that's the thing. Like they kind of set the guys up. They're like, "What do you think about Mane?" He's like, "Oh, he's a great player." And then 2 days later, they're like, "He said he's a great player," so they're interested in him and stuff like that. So it's
even Stevie Wonder can see that he's a great player, can't he? It's not fucking difficult, is it? You know what I mean? They always go like, "Oh, well, Liverpool, who you link with?" Well, if Leo Messi comes up, mate, and he's the right price, I'm going to buy him. That's how it works. Everyone's got a price. It just all depends if it's the right price. They always go like, "Oh, do you think you can sign him?" Well, yeah, I'd love to sign Messi. Oh, let's write a story saying, "Oh, I'd love to sign Messi." Then, well, yes, of course you would. It's Lionel Messi. It's like, duh.
And I think we're like, it's kind of like been a weird season where there are a lot of big dogs that need people. I mean, you rarely get that, like Madrid has to kind of rebuild, and obviously they got money. Barcelona, we put to shame. So, they have to bounce back and do something because 2 years in a row now, they kind of like had big flops out of the Champions League, which is kind of like unlike them. I mean, you have teams like Chelsea, United, and stuff like that looking up and saying, man, we got a lot of room to make up between, like them and City and us. So I think that's one. I mean, PSG is a completely different story. They spend all the money in the world in their little league they got going there, but then they can't do anything in the Champions League. So I think there's so many teams out there that have the money, but I don't know if there are as many players out there to. So it's going to be interesting in terms of, I mean, I don't feel like we have huge needs like we did this time last year. But you look at all these teams with a ton of needs, and there's not that many people out there to fill these needs. So it's going to be interesting with who kind of grabs who they want and then who kind of like stands on the sideline and starts watching and say, and then, I'm sure they're going to change their tune and be like, oh, we're going to go young and stuff like that because they couldn't get the names they really wanted.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the most open year for years in the terms of building. Now you look at, as you said, Real Madrid, they've got to build. The Zidane-Bale relationship is just not there. It's just non-existent as well. Barcelona, I think Suarez is 32 now, maybe 33. I think Messi's about 31. PK is probably 33 probably now. So they're all getting to that stage where their core of their players need to be replaced. You look at Man United, it's probably the worst Man United side in 30, 40 years. Awful. You look at the Chelsea side again with Hazard potentially want to move, and then they've got problems. I think it's probably the most open year where people need to buy players. But the problem is, there's probably only about 12, 13 players in the world that all these clubs are going to be going for, which makes it even more tougher, of course, to compete in that market.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about reading these articles is Liverpool linked with, as well as Tottenham, Manchester United, Man City, Real Madrid. Yeah, it's like everyone in the world wants him. But yeah, I totally agree. There's probably about 10 to 15 players that pretty much everybody are looking at, and as you also pointed out, that it's pretty much what the price is going to come down to. I even saw with going back to Bale that the Wolves were looking to sign him, which I mean, it's as funny as that is, like he obviously he's gone. He's not going to stay at Real, and I think the Wolves, given the place that they finished and seeing how poorly that the traditional top six finished this year, I mean, they could really be looking to break into that top six and give it another go. I mean, I think they overachieved this year a little bit, and I think we'll probably see the same thing happen to them as happened to Burnley this year, where just too many competitions, the squad's not deep enough. But yeah, that was one that really made me laugh, because I think that when you add another competition, especially Europa League, where you're traveling to Siberia and playing inside of a gulag for 3 or 4 weeks out of the year, you need a deep squad. You buy Bale. There goes your money. You've got nobody else to buy.
I think I don't even know if Bale knows who they are, to be honest. We're talking about a player who's just won 3 European Cups in 4 years, and for Bale, for me, if it actually a realistic transfer, needs to be realistic. It's the PSG transfer makes more sense because of the Mbappe to Real Madrid situation. With Mbappe coming out this week saying, he's interested, he doesn't want to basically stay there all his life and things. And with Mbappe being a Real Madrid fan, it screams like a perfect scenario that Bale goes there. They still get their marquee player with Neymar, and Mbappe goes the other way. I'm not saying in a straight swap deal, but they could probably work something out where, this could help benefit both of them. Especially the Bale situation and the James Rodriguez situation, because he's been on loan at Bayern Munich, of course, for 2 years. The reason why they loaned him to Bayern Munich, because he didn't like Zidane. Zidane left, because they were like, well, Zidane's not going to be here in 2 years, James. You just go out there, come back, and you can still, when he's come back. But now, of course, Zidane's come back, and he is notorious for not liking Zidane. So there's another one on the market that they kind of got to get rid of as well.
I mean, it's a great season to be a free agent, though, isn't it? I mean, you get your choice, man, and people are going to be fighting for you. Or, I mean, any of these selling clubs, it's just a great one, because, like, Gordon is saying, you look at every player and, top 5 teams are interested in him. Because, I mean, obviously, if you're a good player, everybody's interested in you. But now it's almost like, let them battle it out. There's going to be some ridiculously overpriced sales happening. People spending, like, overspending for
massively,
specific players.
Yeah, I think that.
Sorry, go ahead.
No.
Go ahead. I look at Koulibaly at Napoli, who is probably one of the most sought after centre halves in the world. Now, if you're Man United, you put a £70 million bid in, you're just going to call up Barcelona and go, "Are you interested?" You're going to call Real Madrid and go, "Are you interested?" Because you may as well, because everyone is all in the shop of these kind of same players. I feel it's actually probably the best time to be a Liverpool fan, that most of our squad's shown up. It's very rare we have to improve. It's probably one of the first times that we're not playing catch-up. So all the rest of the teams are playing catch-up to Liverpool, which is a great place to be honest.
Yeah, and we can really sit and wait for players to come to us, and honestly just make some bench players like the Robertson. I mean, for that to come off, I like the guy, but when you pick somebody off of a team that gets relegated, you're not really expecting too much. That was just ended up being a masterclass move. I think we'll probably see a saloon door at after closing time for Liverpool. I think more players are going to get shipped out, and we're only going to bring 1 or 2 maybe role players. I mean, I even saw that the Max Cruz from Werder Bremen, the 31-year-old free agent, might be coming in as a replacement for Sturridge. I mean, situational. Sturridge is still one of our highest earners, and he barely plays. I think bringing somebody in as a free agent and paying him, a small amount it's going to be more or less filling backup roles than anything this year.
Yeah, I think Jurgen has a kind of a funny summer, to be honest. He has a summer where you're potential European champions. Sturridge is going to go. Moreno's going to go. Maybe Mignolet's probably going to go. He has a decision to make whether to back, as you just said, to bring in like a 30, 31-year-old as a backup, or does he put his eggs on the Ryan Brewster, Harry Wilson kind of basket? Now, the reason why it's really a funny summer is because if he doesn't back Harry Wilson and Harry Wilson goes to another club, what does that say to the other young players in the squad? Does that say, for example, you'd also look at Ryan Kent, who's done really well at Rangers this year. Well, you've asked him to go out on loan and do well. He's done well. So does he get a chance? Marco Grujic, he's supposedly been doing really well where he's at. I think it's there to Berlin.
Yep.
You have to make a decision on these lads. You can't ask them to go out on loan and come back, perform, and say, well, I've done my job. Harry Wilson's he's got Young Player of the Year in the Championship. He's got 20 goals, I believe, or something along them lines. Grujic has been doing really well. Ryan Kent's been excellent. So they're going to come back knocking on the door. And then it also says, well, if you sell these 3 players, say, a big deal comes in for them and you make the decision, what does that say to all the other players or other young players around Europe? So it especially with the Brewster one, of course, because he's in and about the squad, he has to get a chance. He has to, because it does say to the other players who want to sign, the 17-year-olds, the 18-year-olds, well, not really going to get a game there. Look what he did with these kids. So we can't have to set an example like, well, if you go out on loan, you will get a chance when you come back. Even if Wilson plays 4 or 5 games till January, at least they can say, well, he had a chance. He can hang the hat on that, really.
Yeah, and I mean, he still has the potential to lead Derry County right back into the Premiership. So he did score in the semifinal. So I mean, he's been a huge part of that team, and I mean, the fans there love him. So I really do think that he does need to set that example, and I think that the kids earned it. I think that definitely I could see 4, 5 appearances, maybe 2 starts, and 3 coming off the bench. Just to give him a go, at least, like you said, at least in his mind, he feels like he's got a part in the team. But then on the other hand, you've got Camacho, who's been training with us since February of last year, and he's got his starts. He came off, I think he's played in 8 games in total in that time, and he went on that rant on Instagram, and I mean, that's probably just immaturity, but I mean, you can't please everybody, but I really do think that Harry Wilson and Ryan Kent are probably the way forward for us. I really like the way that they play, and obviously Steven Gerrard wants to keep Kent another year at Rangers, and it looks like it's a loan deal, which is great for us. And so just keep rolling with that.
I think the problem is, and this is something that obviously we got to improve on next year, is staying in all these cups that we might not care as much about, but that requires the deeper squad, so these guys actually get a chance to play. I mean, you look at the team, and you still, you're going to have like Ox back next year and stuff like that. I mean, are these guys going to get enough playing time to justify keeping a young kid there just in case kind of thing? And when we get eliminated out of the FA Cup and League Cup and stuff early, it's almost like, well, we don't need these guys now because that's when we have to loan them out and not really be able to use them. So I think it's going to be more important next year to kind of like stay in these tournaments. And I mean, in some ways, it's on them because you put those squad players out there and they lose the game, and now you're done for the year. Thanks for playing, because now we're not in this cup anymore, and you're never going to crack into the starting 11. But it's going to be a tough summer in that sense, in terms of like which young guys to keep, which ones to loan back out. I mean, I'm a bigger fan of, if you're able to loan out a younger kid, by all means, to get him that experience, as opposed to just hanging on to him to play him in 2-3 games. If they're not going to really crack into the squad, and that's going to be something that Klopp obviously makes the call on, might as well loan him out to get the experience, like we did with like Grujic, for example.
I think he does the Harry Wilson deal if Derby comes up. I think he gets the kind of Solanke money. I think he gets his 25 million. I think he gets that for Harry Wilson. The problem is with Harry Wilson, he's going to come back and knock on his door and go, hey, am I getting a chance here? I'm 23. I'm not like I'm still 17. I'm 23 now. If I'm not getting it, I have to leave this summer. I think he does I think he'll do the Wilson deal if you're offering the 20-25 million, which Derby will probably pay if they do get promoted. I think that Ryan Kent's the most interesting one, because, in my opinion, there's probably 5 good left wingers in the league, really good left wingers, and he is definitely one. He's quick, he's pacey, he's quick, he's pacey, and you can definitely see him going to somewhere like Bournemouth and being brilliant. You know, that kind of level of a club. Even someone like Wolves, you could still see him going there and probably starting 20 games for you. So, but as I say, it's what it sets the example to the other players. You know, I agree with what you're saying, Tim. If we go up to clubs early, it's a massive, massive blow to getting them on the pitch and getting them some game time. But then you can also say to, if you're Jurgen Klopp, go like, lads, you've won out the cup, no problem. But look at Divock last year. That's what he can say to him. Look at Divock this year, basically. You know, he waited around for his chance. He was fit, and when I needed him, he delivered. And now it looks like Divock Origi's probably our first sub in the European Cup final, especially if things are going bad. Which kind of says it all about him, because 12 months ago, if you would have said that, he'd just nearly been relegated with Werder Bremen in the German league, you would have said there's no chance he's ever playing for Liverpool ever again. So that's more testament to him, but it's also something to Jurgen to say, you stay fit, you stay around the squad, you listen to me. If you get a chance, take your chance, you know. But I just think he has to find that balance between giving starts and convincing young players, say, hey, where do I get in here?
Yeah, the one thing that I hope that we don't become is a Chelsea, where they're just loaning the 25 guys out year in and year out, and then they let people like, you know, I mean, they've had just an awful run with youth and letting some real talent go. I just hope that we don't become the same way. But going back to Mujin, where you said about the getting deep in the league, I mean, it really, to me, it comes down to the pool, like the picks. I mean, sure, it's unbelievable that City won the treble this year, but I mean, they got Oxford, Fulham, Leicester, Rotherham United, Burton, Newport County, Swansea, Brighton. I mean, you couldn't ask for an easier run-in. And, you know, we got Chelsea and Wolves. I mean, it really comes down to the luck of the draw, I think.
But I mean, it's been the trend for a while now, hasn't it? I mean, the last couple of years, and I feel like it's partially because of the way we play. I mean, even when we change, you know, when we rest players and we put like 4 or 5 out there, you can sense like a huge disconnect between the players and the whole chemistry. I think it's partially like the way we defend, with the way we press. It's so like interlinked that, you know, when Klopp ends up changing like 3, 4 players at the same time, the team plays entirely different, and you can just see visually like the disconnects between certain areas on the field, and that kind of like shows. So when we play against, I mean, even if it's like Wolves or whatever, I feel like, you know, if you're fielding half your starting lineup and the rest are quality players, you should be able to handle that game. But I think it's partially because of the way we play and how like everybody is so reliant on what the other person does for them to do their job right. It kind of like causes that when we play just regular squad players, it almost looks like these guys have never ever played with each other.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's so difficult to play in Liverpool's midfield, especially more than any other position in the world. On our midfield is so key. Yeah, you're basically doing the job of 4-3-3. The pressing and the running that you're doing. Like for every single midfielder that we sign, it takes them 3-4 months to even get a place. So you look at Keita, it took him 7 months. Fabinho didn't think get a start till November. He started coming into his own maybe January. You look at Oxlade-Chamberlain last year. He signed on the last day, but I think it took him like 2-3 months to actually get properly into the side. It's so difficult to play in our midfield that Jurgen demands so much out of you. So when he does make the changes, he brings the changes round. It does affect massively. I think the other big problem is as well is that the drop-off sometimes in level's not good enough. The drop-off's too big. Like Robertson, for example, to Moreno, who's not good enough. You need an in-between guy. And, you know, that's why you play, you know, if you're a centre midfielder like James Milner, if I'm Alberto Moreno, I'm sitting at home and I'll be pulling my hair out like, how shit am I? That I can't get in over centre midfielder who's playing in my position, who's not even left-footed. You know? You look at, I love Sturridge, you know, only because of, you know, past glories I'm still living on. But when he comes in it for Firmino, you can just tell the drop-off's too big. Now, Divock kind of has bridged that drop-off when he's came in. But the drop-off's been too big. You know, it's in the Wolves game, even with Shaqiri. And like we all like Shaqiri for the 20 minutes. Shaqiri's a dangerous number 10, number 8 to come on and he can do things with the ball. Great. But you don't want him starting 90 minutes for Liverpool in our midfield. There's just no way. The drop-off's too big from his work rate. His work rate from Wijnaldum or Milner or Henderson to Shaqiri's work rate, it's just not good enough. It's not enough. So it affects the team. I think we're probably one of the only teams in the world where you can take one player out and you can notice a difference because it's all coherent. It all joins up to be all of us finding on an 11. Wow, unbelievable. But when you choose to take one out or even two, you can just notice we're slightly off it. And I think that's the big part in the cups that we've noticed. Okay, we've been unlucky with the draws. Wolves away is a bastard of a draw. It's a horrendous on a Monday night as well. I think the game is a Monday night. It's a bastard of a draw to go to Wolves, trust me. And then you get Chelsea at home, which anything can happen. And then Hazard comes off the bench and scores one of the best goals of the season. You hold your hands up. But I think that's been the biggest issue. The drop-off sometimes has just been so vast. It's something that he's kind of got to bridge the gap on this summer.
So then, saying that, do you think? I know there's been a lot of speculation. I've seen two different takes on it, where it looks like we will probably only get enough money to sign 2 decent players, and then there's another one saying, we will do everything in our power to win the Premier League next year, and Klopp can have his hand in the pocket as deep as he wants. What do you guys think, that we need 3 or 4 players, or you think it's only 1 or 2 that we're missing?
I don't know what Tim thinks. I think he needs 2 bigger. I think he needs 2 big hitters, and I think he looks at the Grujic, and I don't want to say Wilson because I think Wilson will go. I think he'll look at Ryan Brewster, Origi, Firmino, a big hitter for the number 10/striker role. He looked at Fekir last year, of course. I think that's one of the, maybe Memphis Depay, which we'll probably get into. And I think he probably needs another big hitter. I want to say centre half. I love Gomez. I think Matip's been great, but you can't trust Lovren or Matip's fitness. Sorry, Lovren or Gomez's fitness. You can't trust them. Now, the Koulibaly situation, if you can go and get him more, De Ligt, he keeps getting brought up as well. You've got your centre half boxed off for 10 years. Your 2 centre half parents. So, I'd probably do that deal, to be honest. And I also think he looks at Klein when he comes back as well, by the way. I also think he looks at Klein and thinks that, no, you know what? We can let Lovren go. I can cash in on Lovren for 25 million, say. I can put Joe Gomez as my 3rd choice with Matip as 4th choice if he signs a big centre half. And then he can have Klein as backup for Trent. I think he'll look at Klein again just because Klein was so short of game time when he let him go. I think he wants to see what he was going to react to game time.
Yeah, I think this might be an unpopular decision, but I think letting Klein go cost us the Premier League title, because as soon as he went, it was, as fate would have it, Trent got injured and we had nobody back there. And then we tied Leicester, we tied West Ham, we almost lost and tied to Crystal Palace. And they gave us a run for our money. I mean, a 7-goal game against Palace. And then we, tied Manchester, we tied Everton. The things went downhill. I really think that had we kept him, I think we'd be looking at the Premier League title. I think we'd be looking at a big double this year. So I do believe that he'll give him another go.
I think maybe one big name. I feel like we're headed towards a summer where we're going to be kind of underwhelmed with the signings, but they're going to be, I just have faith in these guys and Klopp and his crew to kind of find the right guy with him. Was anybody excited when we signed Robertson? I expect some signings like that where, any player now that happens, you can go online, there's YouTube videos and stuff. But I talked about this before. I can pay a guy and he can make a YouTube video of me where I look pretty darn good. But, and then if they come and watch the game, it'll be a whole different story. So, I think the key is, finding those right guys to be able to make the squad deeper. I don't think we will, or we should, to be honest with you, spend big money on a center back. You have 4 quality center backs heck, the world's best defender, fourth guy. And then Fabinho has shown that he can play there. So I feel like if especially like the numbers they're throwing around for like De Ligt and Koulibaly. I mean, we're talking like like 90, 100. I mean, we're talking Van Dijk money. And I don't know if you spend that much money for the same position back to back. I feel like if anything, we should get someone for midfield slash forwards that can kind of relieve. I mean, especially a winger, so that we do not have to play Salah and Mane every single game and not have a huge drop off and be worried about it. It felt like Shaq was going to be that person for a while, but like you're saying, Dave, I think it was more of his work rates. And I mean, when you watch the game, you can see. I mean, Salah's a different story. His role is not always to come back, but Mane is always back. I mean, you want those wingers going up and right, and a lot of the names being thrown around are great attackers and makes for like an awesome YouTube video. But is he going to track back? Is he going to do what he wants? And I think that was Shaq's problem. I think going forward, he can fill in for Mane or Salah and like give those guys some rest. But I think we struggle mightily defensively when you take those guys out and you put somebody else in there to fill that role. So, but in terms of like money spending, I really feel like maybe one big name we will go after, because it feels like we have a pretty deep midfield now, and I would hope that I think they will resign Milner. Give him an extension and hang him around, especially since Leeds didn't make it to the Premier League. And you have Ox coming back, Keita coming back. But we do need another quality person going forward. I don't know. I haven't seen enough of Brewster to have a strong opinion one way or the other. I'm sure he'll get his chances like Divock did. But let's face it, I mean, Divock got those chances because Sturridge couldn't take care of his chances. Otherwise, Divock was probably still sitting on the bench. Sometimes he wasn't even making the 18. Daniel had that chance. He didn't use it. Divock got the chance, and he did use it. So, I don't know. I don't feel like that we will spend the money on defense. I think if we spend big money, it would be somebody like, attacking midfielder or a winger that will kind of give us an extra person up front. And my ideal shopping list would be finding somebody who can replace the role that Firmino plays, because that's one person I think we can never replace at the moment.
That's my thing as well. I'm exactly the same on that. I think the Firmino role is the most important role he's got to find. But it's very difficult though. He's at that stage, as I said before. Your team's got 97 points. You're in a European Cup. If you go and sign two big hitters, or even one big hitter, you're going to be looking going, fucking hell, what more do we need to do? You know what I mean? Like, any other season, 97 points wins you the league. And, we've been back-to-back European Cup finals. It's very hard to get the balance right, which, of course, is why you pay the manager the top money, so we can find the balance. But, you don't want to also go round upsetting the apple cart, I suppose. I think this team, with Sturridge definitely leaving, does he keep Divock? I say he does, because I think he likes him, his work rate, and he does come on, he does kind of change the game. Does he find someone to go above Divock, or does he find someone to go below Divock? And he goes, no, Divock, you've earned your right to be Firmino's number 2, and I'm going to get the Brewster or the Wilson to be the number 3. I think that's the balance that he's got to find for the striker role. My personal opinion would be go and sign the 60-70 million pound player and say to Firmino, listen, fella, if you don't book your ideas, or, if you lost some form, I've got this guy, Timo Werner, Julian Brandt, whatever it is, to come straight in. That's what I would do. But I think that's also what you do with Divock then, because Divock's going to go, well, actually, at the moment, you can get 35 million probably for me in this market anyway. I'm not going to sit around and play 10 games this next season, because I've earned my right to, start more games. So it's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, one of the players, obviously, Ajax did really well this season, and with everybody kind of in the market because it's so open, it looks like one of the teams that's just going to be picked to bones. We've obviously been linked with four different players from them, and pretty much anybody with a a name that you can hear on FIFA is going to probably be taken from him this year. So, but one of the ones that I liked the most was Hakim Ziyech, the 26-year-old attacking mid. He's got a $25 million release clause, and I think he's good enough. I think that he's worth well above 25 million, but with that release clause, it might be the way to go for me. And I mean, being an attacking midfielder, you put a little bit of that defensive presence on him. He's got speed. He could probably replace any of the top three. But you really got. I totally agree. We need somebody to fill that Firmino role where you can drop back and play the middle of the park and win balls back for sure. And I don't know if he's got that. I think he's way more of an attacking player.
Yeah, I like this. I like Ziyech. I do. It's really interesting because what scares me about them kind of players is that where were they 3 years ago? Now, I understand sometimes that 3-4 years ago, I understand sometimes it can take players 26, 27, 28 for them to find their groove and find their role. But is it just a one season that he's done it? You know what I mean? Is it, with most of the players that we sign, they've always done it for like at least 2 seasons, 2.5 seasons. Especially in the front three. Like Firmino was known in Germany. I think he was one of the best German players when he left to come to Liverpool, with Hoffenheim and things. Sadio Mane, we've seen him at Southampton. You could see he had some quality. Salah being at Chelsea and Roma and Fiorentina. But I'm all in on signing a Premier League player, to be honest. If Jamie Vardy was 5 years younger, I'd be all over Jamie Vardy. I really would. I know he's a bit, he comes across like a bit of a dick, but he works so hard. Every season he gets 20 goals, and he's playing for Leicester. And that's no disrespect, but 20 goals every season feels like he gets every season. It's always there or thereabouts. It's such a shame that he's so old, but I would have loved Liverpool to go in for someone like him. I know our blue mates wouldn't like this, but you look at someone like Richarlison, mate. The kid's 20. He's leading the line for Everton. I think he scored 12, 15 goals or something like that last season. I can't remember, in all comps. You look at someone like him and you think, fucking hell, he could do a job for Liverpool. Comfortably do a job. He does work. He does work hard. Of course, not as hard as Firmino, but who does? You look at someone like him. I don't think our blue neighbours would be so very happy with coming in for a bit with him. But, someone of that calibre where you look and go, we need to box this off right now for the next 10 years. You don't want people to keep going back into the market every year when the other teams below us are in the market, if you understand what I mean. You even look at City. You look at companies just left. David Silva's 33, I think. Aguero's 31. So this is their core of their squad for the last 8, 9 years, 10 years. That's what I'm talking about with Liverpool at the moment. It's starting to get older and it's starting to, leave, of course, with the company. So with Ziyech, he might do you 2-3 years, then you're going to go again. You know what I mean? It's very difficult, but I would have loved Richarlison. I don't think that's possible, of course. You look at Timo Werner at 22. Now you're talking, that's the kind of level that we're talking about, where you can come in and go, right, you're here for 7 years, 8 years, as long as everything goes correctly. And then Liverpool's set. Liverpool don't want to be going into the market every summer looking for 3 players or 2 players like we are now. You especially look at the Spurs, for example, last year, who didn't sign anyone for 12 months and in the Champions League final. And he's got them in the top 4 because no one's better than the team we can improve. You can't improve the team. That's what Liverpool. We're shopping in a market right now. We're probably 10 players in the world can improve Liverpool. Maybe 8 to 10 players in the world that can improve us as a team, which is so difficult for the manager and the club. It's a great position to be in, of course, but it's just I'm that right person.
I think the issue is first off, going back to the Ziyech thing, I think it's a great price for him, but it's almost too good of a price for him. And the issue I have with some of those players is we only get to see them. We don't watch the Dutch league. I don't, for example. But you see them in the Champions League, and being from Turkey and having watched the Turkish league. And knowing the players, the foreign players especially, on these bigger clubs in Turkey, the dude that plays the Champions League game is totally different than the dude that plays in the Turkish league game. They play the game different. You're like, man, if this guy pressed like this on a regular Turkish league game, we'd guarantee the championship by now. So when, these players know the Champions League is a huge scene and they play totally different. I think that's when the scouts come in and you got to watch this guy day in and day out. He's doing that. I mean, is he really only capable of doing that 6 times a year? Or is he going to be able to do that 26 times a year for us in terms of the running, the defensive work they do and stuff like that? In the Champions League semifinal, when the entire world is watching, he's tracking people down and playing defense, but is he regularly going to do that day in and day out? And I think that's the issue that we would run into. And that's why I think I would, I agree with Dave, I would rather get somebody from the Premier League. And honestly, I think that's where I disagree. I think those are the kind of players we do need is a Jamie Vardy. Yeah, because getting a young guy, I mean, Timo Werner would be awesome. But if you're Timo, are you coming to Liverpool?
It's hard to convince.
And you know what I mean? Like your career, you should be like the main guy or whatever. Whereas I think if you're Jamie Vardy, you might be tempted to come to Liverpool and be the perfect person for us in terms of, do what Sturridge couldn't do last year, for example, and stuff. So I think, as we reinforce, like you're saying, there are only so many players we can bring in to replace a starter. So why not get people who have Premier League experience? Because I think that's like the biggest part when we bring in a guy like Fabinho and Keita and stuff like that. Not only they're getting used to the club style, they're getting used to the league. It's a totally different league than most of the other leagues in Europe, especially in like physicality. So why not get some of the more experienced players to deepen the squad from the Premier League? And if you're a guy like Vardy, maybe he's a bit on the other side of 30, preferably late 20s would be a preference, but like I say, I think it's going to be hard to lure a great young player to this team because the team itself is too young. Like, who are they going to replace? It's not like you can say, dude, Firmino's about to go and then you can replace him in a couple of seasons. No, this entire team is pretty young. So I think it would be easier for us to lure a quality older guy that will be okay with resting his body a bit more and not have to start every single game and play for a team that goes for the title, that goes for the Champions League title.
Yeah,
I think it's sorry, go ahead, go.
No, I was just saying, historically too, it's worked for us in the past. I mean, Danny Murphy, bringing him back, Gary McAllister. I mean, those type of players, not only do they bring your on-field contributions, but also the locker room. I mean, they embody the club. They know what it's about. They know what the Premier League's about. I mean, you bring somebody that's played in the Premier League for 4 or 5 years already. They know what Anfield is. They know the fans. They know how big the club is. And obviously, like you said, the Premier League game is so much different than any other league. It's a lot tougher. You get somebody in here that's willing to take a back seat and willing to only play those 10 games kind of in the twilight of their career. It could definitely be instrumental, and then you wouldn't have to worry about egos at all.
Yeah, the other thing in football, which a lot of people forget, 95% of the time, you get what you pay for. You pay top dollar, you get top dollar. We pay top dollar for Van Dijk, that's what we got. You pay top dollar for Alisson, it's what you get. It's very rare. Listen, you get your 30, 40 million pound flops, dollar flops, whatever. You get them. Of course you do. More than likely, when you're spending over the 50, 60 million mark, it's very rare you're getting flops that much. Do you get what I mean? Usually, they're pretty spot on. That they can walk straight into your side and they're going to improve your team. And then, they don't really falter. You look around the world. People bought the Ronaldo money at 80 million 10, 12 years ago. And it looks like an absolute snip now, doesn't it? Even Gareth Bale, the guy's worth still probably the same money now if you had to buy him. Them kind of players. So you do get what you pay for in football most of the time anyway.
Yeah, I think that's when you have to especially if you're going young, you're gonna have to rely on your scouting and hope that you're getting somebody personality-wise that's gonna continue developing too, and not only have the talents. And to their credits, Liverpool has done an excellent job with that, and you can kind of see it on the field, you can kind of see it off the field, and I just hope they continue to do that. I mean, you hear a lot of names out there, and like I say, some of them are great players, but only the scouting department and the people that actually do the background checks, if you will know that are they going to fit in that locker room too.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, well, we've talked about who we want in. I guess for the last point, who do you guys want out? Obviously, there's a few that are probably guarantees. Sturridge, Moreno. But who else would you like to offload?
I want, definitely Moreno. Big Albie, I'm sorry, fella. It hasn't worked out. Mignolet, I know he's been great this season and he's been, really good. But Simon Mignolet, that'll be wonderful. If you do the Loris Karius deal now, just to get him off your books, let him go. I think he does Shaqiri. I think he hates him. I honestly think Klopp hates him. I think he looks and goes, "You've got all the ability in the world, mate, but you just can't work. You can't work in this midfield. You just can't work for me. It just doesn't work." It was a £12 million chance.
And don't you think we would make money off of him right now? To be honest,
I think you get 25 million for Shaqiri.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, easily.
I think it was a no-brainer deal for him. If you're getting 20 million for Solanke, you're probably looking. Don't forget Shaqiri's only still like 25. I think he does the Shaqiri deal if the money comes in right for him. I think that's the key. I also think he does the Lovren deal as well. I think if someone comes in with like a decent price, 30 million probably for Lovren, I think he'll do Lovren. You can't rely on him. He's not fit. He's one in, one out, as we call him. We used to sing a song about Duncan Ferguson and everything. We used to sing in for a week, out for a month. And that's exactly what Lovren is. He comes in for a week and he's out for a month. He came off against Wolves in January and he was out for 3 months. What the fuck's happened? Like 3 months? See people recover from a stroke quicker than that. Like, and this is the man in the fit as a fiddle. Like one of a very, very good centre half, not one of the best in the world, but he's very, very good. And he's out for 3 months. I just don't think Jürgen can trust him. So I think if it's all about freeing up, I don't want to say free up funds because I think Jürgen Klopp's got the keys to the bank at the moment with FSG. I think he can go in and ask for whatever he wants and they'll put a bid in for him. But you probably look at that there and you're probably looking at about 80 to 100 million pounds worth of talent. And then I think he does Harry Wilson for 20 to 25 million. I think he does Ryan Kemp for probably around the same figure, maybe a bit cheaper. And then I think if he backs Grujic to stay. So I think that's probably the main outgoings that we're looking at, really. But the Shaqiri and Lovren one, he's going to make a decision on.
Yeah, I agree. I think those are, especially like the Shaqiri, I agree too. Because I think you can make money off of him now. And you can spend about the same money as you did on him and get somebody to do what he does.
Yeah. I think he can look at Grujic and go, I can get more out of Grujic here just for his work rate. You know what I mean? I think I look and go, I can get 30 million for you, 25, 30 million, and I can get more out of this kid here. And you've added goals because you've got a wonderful left foot. No one's denying his quality. Everyone can see when Shaqiri plays, he has wonderful quality on the ball. But it's also, I just think he does his heading. I just think he annoys the fuck out of him. I just don't think he can get, I just don't think he's looking at him and go, I don't think you can work for me really here. So I think he does Shaqiri. But the other thing is, though, Shaqiri's got 2 assists in 2 games. He got the assist against Newcastle for Origi and he got the assist for Wijnaldum against Barcelona. So that's another part of the conversation he's got to have. Well, Shaqiri can come on and go, well, I'm coming on and contributing. So it's very, I just don't think he does enough for him.
Yeah, and going back to the Lovren thing, like I say, I'm okay with, if we enter the next season with the center back crew we have now, I would consider us in good shape. And I know what you're saying in terms of reliability, injury-wise for Matip and Lovren and Gomez, I guess, to a certain extent, really. I mean, kind of this year's injury is more unlucky than anything else. But, the only way I can see them selling Lovren is going back to what we were talking about, where we do go after a big money center back and you kind of soften the fall by getting some money out of Lovren. So if you are spending 80, 90 on a center back, you can probably get like 30, 40 for Lovren, I think. And that, your net spend goes down a lot, and you kind of got probably another world-class center back. Otherwise, I don't think they move him, because then it's really dangerous territory if you get somebody new or young or somebody in there with Matip and Gomez the way it is before you know what that guy can be starting. I mean, I think if we see Lauren starting out there, I mean, at least I am not like, oh shit, Lauren is starting. Yeah, it's not as good as Gomez or right now Matip starting, because I like those two on the ball a lot better than I like Lauren on the ball, especially against teams who, kind of like park the bus against us. But, he's still a reliable dude, and let's face it, with Van Dijk being in there, anybody next to him automatically goes up a 10 or 15 skill levels.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree with the Shaqiri thing, because, I mean, it doesn't sound like the end of the experiment didn't pan out. It started out really good, but it fizzled pretty fast. And that has to, I mean, we're assuming it's his work rates when you're starting Divock on the wing. I mean, we had Divock starting on the left wing a couple of times over our player Shaqiri. So that has to be the work rate or what they're doing in practice or the confidence level that Klopp has in him. And yeah, if you can make money off of him, why not? And then why not keep Wilson then? But it really depends on, I think, it's kind of hard to determine who's going to go, because I think it's really going to depend on who comes in. But I mean, Moreno is a no-brainer. I mean, if Mignolet is looking to stay and we're not going to get good money for him, I would like him to stay. He's been an excellent teammate. I mean, that dude has been an excellent teammate. I guess if he's out there, I guess we're going to be worried. If something happens to Alisson and, you're starting Mignolet, obviously we're going to be worried. But who are you going to replace him with that you're not going to be worried? You know what I mean?
Me? I'll do a job. Fuck me. Don't why you're saying that. We've got a European Cup final in 2 weeks and you're saying that. I'm not going to sleep tonight. What are you doing to me? Fuck me.
I'll be honest, like you say, like Mignolet, gave me a heart attack nonstop anytime a cross went into the box, every corner kick and stuff like that. But I think maybe my stance is softened by watching this guy be just the ultimate professional and a great teammate this entire season.
It doesn't make him good,
and accepting that he's behind a guy who's better than him and, doing his work, I think kind of earns him that spot, unless we're going to be able to get good money for him and he does want to leave. Because, I mean, honestly, the dude can probably start in a lot of teams around the world.
Definitely. I agree. I think he starts in probably most bottom 12 sides in the league. He'll be there number one comfortably. He has to go to him. He's got more baggage in the airport, mate. He's got too much baggage.
I'm right with you. I love him on the bench, and he can stay there if that's where he wants to go. Yeah, he'd just be the ninth bench man. Just
never play for Liverpool again, and that'll be fine. I don't want to be disrespecting because he has been great this year, but doesn't make him a good goalkeeper. I know loads of fans that have been great this year. Doesn't make him a good centre midfielder. Like, they're in the stand and he's in the stand, and that's where we should keep it. Like, so I think he's got too much baggage. I think he'll make the defence nervous. I just think he'll make the fans especially nervous if he isn't playing a game. So I actually still think he's at fault for the Wolves goals in the FA Cup. Still think he could do better, especially with Neves' second goal. I think the second goal in that game. I think he could do a hell of a lot better. But I just think we've been blessed with the goalkeeper we got now, really. Being a bit spoiled. So.
Yeah, and I know going back to Lovren as well, I agree with you, Cozzy. I think he's got to go. And I think with Burge next to anybody, I mean, I know Klopp is an avid listener of our podcast, so if you're listening out there, I will gladly join the team for $1,000 a week, and I'll play next to Burge, and I think we could probably get 19 clean sheets this year. But yeah, I honestly think that we have the needs to fill that role. I mean, even if we had to have Fabinho drop back and play center back and pick somebody up in January even. But yeah, I'd rather see the back of Lovren. I think he's done as much as he can here. I just don't. He's not the caliber of player that the team has built. I mean, I think the Liverpool, it's kind of passed him behind. I think he was a good pickup when we got him, but I think he's just a notch slower than everybody else.
So let me throw two names at you guys because we didn't mention either one.
Go ahead.
They stay or go. Your boy Adam,
Big Lowls,
and Ben Woodburn.
Ah, fucking hell! Couldn't even be. To be honest, I couldn't believe Woodburn was on the bench against Barcelona. By the way, I didn't.
I know that was a shocker to me too. I'm like, how many injured people do we have that Woodburn made an appearance there? But
we got the lad who couldn't get in the Sheffield United side is on the bench in the semi-final of the Champions League against Barcelona. What a story to tell you kids. Yeah, he'll be gone. Lallana. I think Lallana goes back to Bournemouth. I just think it's set up, isn't it, really? Let's be honest. I feel sorry for Lallana. I do, because we've already said he's got quality and things, but it just seems like it's just passed him by. It's one of them things, a bit like what Gordon just said there. 4 years ago, I'm all in on Lallana. You know, good player, lovely touch. Got lovely quality on the ball, but it's just not good enough. And there's not a problem with that. I always say this about football players. It's not a problem. It's fine not being good enough. As long as you're coming in and putting 110% in, it's absolutely fine to not be good enough. Adam Lallana's not good enough. It's unfortunate, of course. And I also think as well, he can probably get the best part of 25 million for Lallana as well. So if he goes to Bournemouth, the shirts, they get a lot of shirt sales on the back of him, A lot of kids will be walking around with Lallana on the back. So, I think he'll do Lallana as well.
Yeah, and he's a Premier League player. I mean, he would easily slot into that team week in and week out and contribute. I think sort of like a Danny Ings type character where, I mean, he's good enough.
20 million.
Yeah, good enough to play in the Premier League. Just, I think Liverpool's at a different level right now. And I think that he served his purpose, and you got to know when to cut ties. Just because somebody gave you the goods 3-4 years ago, I mean, he got you where you are now, but sometimes you just got to cut those ties.
I think he's the one. I reckon he sits there and thinks, I think he's the unluckiest player in the world. Of course, because of the injuries for 2 years, I've been injured, of course. But I also think he looks this season and goes, if I stayed, I could have been the Origi. You know what I mean? I think he backs himself to be better than Origi. It's really interesting how football works. In effect, I think he backs himself and goes, that could have been me there. To get these, to be in these big games and, to be loved like he is at the moment. That could have been me, you know what I mean? I think he looks himself, but I think he backs himself to be better than him. And I think it's just how it's worked out, unfortunately.
Well, with that, is there anything else that you guys want to add before we wrap this thing up? It looks like we've hit about an hour here or so, won't keep everybody too much longer. But if there's something you guys want to touch on that we didn't,
we'll have a little 5 minutes on the old rumours that young Pep Guardiola to Juventus doesn't seem to be going away, does it?
No, yeah, I saw that again, and there was several. It's about 50-50 of Pep saying he's staying, he's not going anywhere, and then the rest of it saying it's a done deal, and the papers in Italy are saying that this papers have already been signed, and he's already on an airplane over
there. Pep, it's lovely over there, Pep. Pep, you'll love it. Italy, beautiful, good wine, loads of history, fella. Come on, get on the cheese, all that stuff. Mate, you'll love it out there, Pep. You go. As soon as he goes out there, they're never getting 90 points again. So please, Pep, please. Juventus is wonderful. You'll love it, Pep. You don't need to stay here. You proved your point. You've won a lovely little treble. Now just leave. Look what Vincent done. Go and follow Vincent, please. And then as soon as he goes, we'll win the league. Just when he's there, I do think there's something in the rumours. I really do. I think it's common knowledge that City are probably going to get a transfer ban with all the shit that's happening with them, with the financial fair play and things, and banned on the Champions League and all that. I think it's going to happen with them. So I think you might look and go, well, this is a great chance to go to another club where they win the league every year, and I can just say I've won the league there. But like the Bayern Munich. So I do think there's something in the rumours. I really do.
And honestly, it does speak volumes about him, though, doesn't it? I mean, don't you guys agree that if he is gone, City automatically drops about 9 to 10 points? Doesn't matter how much money was spent on the roster. Doesn't matter how much quality is on the roster. I mean, he's a huge part of it. I was in a discussion the other day about, I realized the guy is always on teams that have, bazillion dollars to spend, but wherever he's gone, he spent that money wisely, and his teams have played good football, and winning, titles and cups and stuff like that. So I mean, we kind of want him to go, and it does kind of make sense for him to go because it looks like City could be a shink and sip if if these bans and stuff come through, and it's good time to probably jump ship. Haven't been to Italy yet. Let's go have some pasta and check that out. And you're going to Juventus again, which fits his bill. A lot of money to spend, already a lot of quality players. It'll probably take him a season to kind of get rid of the ones he doesn't want and add new ones, and he'll be. I mean, you're automatically Italian champions anyway, and then you only have to worry about his Champions League. But so I think that speaks volumes about the guy. At the same time, that we know that the moment he leaves, City automatically win a downward spiral, regardless of the money spent on that roster.
I think their standards drop completely, don't they? Pep's standards are so high. I just think they drop completely. I think he looks at the Juventus squad as well and goes, well, this team should have won the Champions League this year, or should have got further with Ronaldo. And I think that's what he thinks in the back of his head as well. He goes, I can probably get 2 more years out of Ronaldo. I add 1 or 2 players, and this team's basically there to win the Champions League. So I think that's, and he also, again, we're leading back to with the Silva, Aguero, Fernandinho, companies left. So we're thinking, I need a new spine here. I need a new spine of top quality players, which could take 4 or 5 years before I can go and, continuously challenge for the Champions League. How much more can you ask out of Fernandinho? At 35, I think. How much more can I ask out of Silva? Aguero still get me 20-odd goals at 32, 31, 32. How can he go again for me? Can Jesus get me them kind of goals? And I think we look at Juventus and goes probably 2 more players, and they're going to be there or thereabouts.
Yeah, I'll sweeten the deal, and along with playing center back with Verge next year, I'll use some of my earnings to pay for his plane ticket.
Yeah, and you know what? You can also have Alberto Moreno in the hand luggage, and you can check Sam Mignolet in as well if you want to go.
Yeah, little package deal. You can have all of them.
Yeah, Alberto Moreno could fit in his hand luggage. He's that small, and then we'll just bang Big Simon in his check-in. Take them 2 with you, fella. We're absolutely flying. Liverpool winning every trophy, and we don't include the Charity Shield as a trophy. Sorry, guys.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. And that's why I hope, let's get this, let's beat the hell out of Tottenham, get our championship, get our silverware, and then I think it will automatically make for a very different summer anyway, and can change our stance on things too. I mean, You look at, how things changed after we lost that final. I think we were a lot more aggressive because we were, we showed that we were so close. And now, we've shown, we're so close to winning the title. We're at the final of the Champions League again. So I don't know if we'll be as aggressive, but, the final result can change a lot of things too.
I know. Hey, we'll do this conversation in 2 weeks when Sturridge just scored the winner. We're like, give him a lifetime contract. It's fine. It's been great all season. What are we talking about?
I wanted to bring it up for you because they just announced that they're going to extend the bench from 8 to 12 players. So there's a good chance that Sturridge could come on and score.
Room for Moreno. Somebody's gonna cross that ball in.
I said that a couple of months ago. I said he's got 1 more moment left in him. Whether it's a penalty in the shootout, he's got one more moment left in him. I'm backing you, Daniel. Please. I thought it would have been against Huddersfield or Newcastle. He's been waiting for this one. Come on, Daniel.
Tim, anything from you before we close out?
No, like I say, I'm just kind of looking forward to the final, get our silverware, kind of put that behind us. And then I kind of, like I say, expecting kind of a quieter. I almost feel like if we win this Champions League, we're going to get to kind of make some popcorn and watch these other teams trying to chase after the 3-4 good players that are out there while we're kind of nitpicking on who we want to add to make slight improvements. So it should make for an entertaining summer in that sense. Otherwise, yeah, the transfer rumors are already obnoxious. I can only imagine what's going to happen in June and July. So
yeah, if Liverpool win this Champions League, guys, you'll probably see me around Christmas. So yeah, I'll be dead somewhere. but there we go. Anyway.
All right, guys. Well, with that, that concludes the show. A lot of big changes coming our way for American Scousers, so be on the lookout. Be sure to like all the pages, share this, get us in your groups and things like that. It goes an awful long way for social media and just exposing the brand. So appreciate you guys for listening, and you two take care.
You too, man.
Cheers, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Up the Reds.